Part 3. So, now I think this is going to be the third and final part of this Ramsay Bolton character analysis for the HBO canon, at least. So, this brings us to Sansa's escape, and in part 1, I mentioned almost feeling sympathetic towards Ramsay at certain points, and excuse me, I won't include the Sansa and Theon escaping Winterfell because I only have 5 cards, so I'm not going to include that, but you guys know that Sansa and Theon escape Winterfell. And in the process, Miranda dies. And there is this one scene where we see just how disconnected from humanity Ramsay really is. He is sad. He shows signs of mourning. He is upset that this woman that he loves is gone. And he acknowledges that he says there was nothing that those dogs couldn't do to her that I wouldn't, and she was never afraid. And I think Ramsay admired that, as sick as it sounds, but this is the same people who went hunting for an innocent girl. And he says, I will miss you. And the most shocking thing about this scene, where you're so close to feeling almost sorry for Ramsay, because nobody should grieve a loss of a loved one so young. But the man turns to him and says, what do you want to do with the body? And Ramsay says, what do you mean? That's good meat. Feed her to the dogs. So rather than give her a proper burial, he says goodbye to her and feeds her. Or we assume that he feeds her to the dogs. That's his opinion of a proper burial for her. But this could be left up for interpretation. She probably was fed to the dogs, but Ramsay says that the dogs weren't fed for several days. But that was before the Battle of the Bastards took place. And with that, the Battle of the Bastards in and of itself is fascinating. But what's really, really, really fascinating about the Battle of the Bastards is the before everything. I forgot to talk about Ramsay killing Roose. Ramsay kills not only his father, but his stepmother and his new baby brother, because, as we discussed, Ramsay is really adamant about heirs, and now that he is the heir, he wants to remain that heir. And much to Ramsay's dismay, Ramsay has a brother. And since Ramsay is still he has the Bolton name and the Bolton title, but he is still a bastard. And so this newborn child is still a threat to him. So, as soon as he learns that his stepmother has given birth, he stabs his father. He murders him in cold blood, as Ramsay often does, and says he was poisoned by his enemies. There was a witness, and this is a manipulation tactic. Ramsay has a certain mannerism in which you pay attention to, because he has this very easygoing way of sounding like he knows what he's talking about, and he is completely sane, and he has a way of speaking, mannerism, in which you basically you have no choice. This is what happens. This is what happens, or this will happen to you, is how Ramsay speaks. And so he says, yes, my father was poisoned by his enemies. Poisoned by his enemies. And in fact, not stabbed by me. That would be astronomical. And also would overthrow him. So, he has his dogs eat his mother and his baby brother alive. Yeah. He is so scared of losing Winterfell that his stepmother begs, we can leave, we'll go far, we won't be an heir. There won't be an heir, you will hold the north. And even then, Ramsay doesn't let them go. At this point, he's just a killing machine. He loves killing. And then we get to the Battle of the Bastards. Prior to this, he has never met Jon. And what's really interesting about Ramsay is, while Ramsay is a bastard, he thinks that he is better than Jon, and he keeps referring to Jon as bastard, 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 frequently. He has this whole conversation. Come fight me. He sends a letter. Come get me. I have your brother, Rickon Stark. I have him. Come get him. Are you too afraid? Because I have the North, and I outrank you. Because I have the Bolton name. You don't even have the Stark name. You are still just a Snow. And Ramsay, in his mind, is no longer Snow. And he uses this to talk down to Jon, but Jon is entirely unaffected, and this bothers Ramsay a lot, and you can tell by the body language. And Ramsay is thrilled to have Rickon, and Ewan Rion is fantastic. He can act with just a facial expression, which is why him and Alfie have such a great chemistry, because they can convey so many emotions with just a facial expression. But yeah, the Battle of the Bastards, he shoots Rickon. He shoots Rickon with an arrow. He makes it seem like almost that he can get away. And at the last second, Ramsay is very good at pretending. He was very precise when he was lining up those shots, and we're coming on to 10 minutes, so I'm gonna try to... This is gonna be the final video, so it might be a little bit longer than 10 minutes, but Ramsay pretends he misses on purpose, so just when Jon thinks that he has his brother saved, bam! Arrow. Right through Rickon's heart. And when John finally gets to Ramsay and beats him nearly to death, sorry, I had the hiccups. He realizes that Sansa has been through so much more by Ramsay's hand, and John has only known him for a matter of hours, through a span of a conversation. This is not his kill. And so, he gives Ramsay, indirectly, to Sansa. And Sansa feeds him to his dogs, who we learn during that Battle of the Bastards conversation that his dogs haven't eaten for 7 days. He has purposely starved them because Ramsay was so arrogant that he would win, that he was just going to feed whoever survived to the dogs. And maybe not even if they survived, he would have just fed them to his dogs. Yeah, I mean, he had no conscience with feeding his girlfriend to those dogs. And I think that says a lot about him when he can sleep at night knowing that even the person who he had an actual connection with, he just disregarded her. She was of no longer any use to him, and so she was disregarded. And so Sansa, back to Sansa. Sansa feeds him to his dogs, and I think this is a very fitting end to Ramsay. He has done terrible things, but even in the face of death, at this point, he knows he is going to die. And he is still manipulating Sansa moments before his death. A lot of people speculated that people took this very, very literally, and he said, I have become a part of you. I am you now. You cannot escape it. Ramsay, a lot of people took that to mean that Ramsay had impregnated her, but that so far has not happened, and I don't think it's going to happen. But even in the face of death, this man is a psychopath, and he's still continuing to manipulate. I am part of you, and you will never be the same. And he's right. She will never be the same. He has psychologically tortured her. He has beaten her. He has raped her. And that is not something that one just easily recovers from. But this video is almost 14 minutes long now. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed my little Ramsay Bolton analysis. And if you guys have any questions, or if I forgot something, I'm sure there's a lot that I forgot to cover. There's only so much you can cover. But if you guys really, really want, I will do a book analysis. I will go through chapter by chapter of every Ramsay chapter, and I will do a breakdown of his character in the book versus his character here depicted in HBO. Alright guys, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.